Joining us now with their insight is Gadi Adelman. He is a counterterrorism expert and advisor. And Ari Kruglanski, he is the founding co-director of the National Center for the Study of Terrorism and the Response to Terrorism. And he is also a distinguished professor of psychology at the University of Maryland. Thank you both for being with us. Let's start with you, Professor.
It's a pleasure.
Over 219 people killed in this wave of horrific attacks. Christians clearly the targets, yeah. What is the likely motive? Why were Christians in Sri Lanka attacked? What is the objective of this terrorist act?
I think that it is in direct response to the Christian church attack in New Zealand, but more indirectly, there is a long-standing feud between Christians and Muslims. The Western powers are Christian. They invaded, according to the ISIS narrative, invaded Muslim lands, are occupying Muslim lands, are supporting Israel. These are Christian powers going all the way back to the Crusades. So the conflict is not a new one. It's been inflagrated now under present circumstances by this event in Christian church, but there is nothing new about the Muslim-Christian conflict. What is new is the situation as it unfolded in Sri Lanka.
Gadi, do you agree that this is likely a response, as the professor suggests? And again, we're speculating, but this is likely a response to the attack in New Zealand by what is believed to be a white supremacist on those Muslims worshipping?
I don't know that I would disagree, but I wouldn't say that that was the sole reason behind it. You know, something needs to be talked about, the elephant in the room that everyone's afraid to speak about. And there is an Arabic proverb, which is also used as a battle cry. When Saturday is gone, one will find Sunday, which loosely translated means first we're going to come after the Jews, and when we're done with them, then we're going to go after the Christians. This is a very, very famous and powerful, and like I said, used as a battle cry, Arabic proverb. This is what we need to understand about Islam. So is it a surprise to me that it occurred in Sri Lanka, given the situation there? Yes. Is it a surprise to me that churches were attacked on Easter? Absolutely not.
Gadi, is it a surprise to you, though, that no one has claimed responsibility for this attack so far?
I'm sorry, I just lost your sound there for a second.
The question, Gadi, and we'll start with you, is it surprising that no one has claimed responsibility for this terrorist attack?
No, and I think, you know, they already know who's behind this. And to say that Sri Lanka's intel dropped the ball, you know, the president and prime minister in Sri Lanka have been feuding for months. And this resulted in such a political breakdown that the president shut the prime minister out from even being aware of the warnings that were given. India, and I read the brief today, the memo that went from India to Sri Lanka had the names of the individuals that were going to carry out the attack. It had the timing of the attacks, the locations of the attacks, and even the addresses of many of these perpetrators. So to say they dropped the ball is an understatement. This could have been prevented, and it is a disaster. Like, I just can't wrap my mind around the fact that they had all of this intel and none of it was used.
Professor, what do you make about that aspect, that there were warnings that terrorist attacks were imminent and yet that nothing was done?
It's part and parcel of the conflict in Sri Lanka between the two major parties, the United National Party and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The current government is conflicted between the president, Sirisena, and the Prime Minister, Wickremesinghe. And this particular government, by the way, was a pro-Western government that became more tolerant and more lax on security overall. During its tenure, the security in Sri Lanka was compromised to a considerable degree. There are some signs that the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam are regrouping, that there is a re-radicalization. This government that was tolerant, this is the other face of tolerance, that it allows free space for a terrorist and extremist organization organize. And the conflict between this government, the prime minister of which, the president of which wanted to reinstate Mahinda Rajapaksa, the former president, as prime minister, and therefore prevented the current prime minister from getting the intelligence, is a consequence of this political feud. This, of course, opened the space for that enabled these attacks.
Ari Kruglanski, thank you so much. Gadi Adelman, thank you to you both. We do understand that the FBI says it will assist authorities in Sri Lanka in this investigation.